Hey guys, did you know it takes three banthas to make one sweater? Who knew they could knit?
One of our
Okay.
students.
Okay.
Roger.
So be it. Jedi. That's not a moon. It's a space station.
Always a pleasure to meet a Jedi.
Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
You failed, Your Highness. I'm a Jedi.
Hello, explorers, and welcome to the only international Star Wars podcast covering almost half the world, but only 0.5% of the galaxy. I'm Jack, and as always, thank you for joining us wherever you are in the Star Wars universe.
Yes, welcome to Explore the Force, where we cover all things Star Wars. I'm Jimmy, and as always, welcome back or welcome along if you are new.
And last but by no means least, I'm Charlie. And if you're joining us today for episode 127 and you get a chance, don't forget to give us a cheeky rating and a like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Jack, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. I'm rather tired. I've been doing some shopping this weekend, which I'll cover in the Force Encounters, some tasty stuff that I've seen. But yeah, not too bad, not too shabby at all. Jimmy, how you been, bud?
Not too bad. Back in the workforce, so we'll see. I have kids for the first time on Monday. Well, by the time you hear this, I'll be on my second day of having students in my classroom, so I'm excited for that. Finished Jaws of Jakku, so that was pretty good. Lots of good stuff. Pretty good. Looking forward to recording with you guys today. Chuck, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Battling through. Got some health things going on, but I'm doing okay. I'm getting there.
She's back.
Super excited. I'm back. I'm sorry I missed last week. It's been all over the shop. I know you guys missed me. I missed me. I'm really excited for today's show though.
Very
I missed you.
excited.
You're not nearly as Jack's not nearly as pretty as you, so
Ah, you
I try.
guys.
I try.
My fun fact this week, because again, I know you all missed it terribly last week. Did you know blue Yoda was meant to be? Master Yoda was originally designed to be blue in The Empire Strikes Back, and personally, I much prefer that shade of like mint green that he's got going on. I can't really imagine like cerulean. Mm-mm.
Well, technically he's blue now. He's dead, right? As a Force ghost.
oh, boo.
Ah, come on.
Boo.
Speaking of Force, let's head over to this week's Force Encounters.
My ally is the Force.
Okay, so Force Encounters for this week then, as you've probably seen on the socials, we went Halloween shopping because we're gearing up the house ready for Halloween for my young Padawan Tessa, and went into a shop called Spirit Halloween. I had no idea how big this thing is. People were losing their minds on our group chat when I told them where I was.
Me.
Yeah. And there was a whole host of Star Wars masks, and yes, they're not movie accurate. However, there is one or two that I was actually caught by surprise with how good they actually were. Ren Respawn asked on the socials, review incoming when. So I've heard the call and I will answer the call. With what mask? Wait and see.
Ooh. Speaking of purchases and spending money on things, this week I received my very beautiful piano. And obviously, one of the first things I had to play on it was Star Wars. And it just so happened to be that for reasons you guys might have seen on our socials, I was already in the costume. So there is now a video of me playing Ray's theme on my beautiful new piano. It is absolutely gorgeous. A huge thank you to Thomason's Pianos for like amazing service and such a beautiful instrument. I am beyond delighted. I will be learning more John Williams and more Star Wars, so keep your eyes peeled because there will be more and played better. I promise. I'm getting there.
Look out, John Williams. Charlie's coming.
Oh, look out. Yeah. I think last week I said I was almost done with Jaws of Jakku, and I finished it this week.
Mm.
It was fun. and I think that it's good for kids, stuff like that. I think they missed a mark a little bit on it for what I think they're trying to do in Star Wars. But I did get to set up my new classroom and put up lots and lots of fun Star Wars stuff. I'll probably post some photos of the new Kenobi corner and all the different ways I set things up. So that's always fun. I'll be interested to see how the staff at the new school and the students react to the weird social studies teacher they now have, because I'm coming in to replace a guy that went through something similar as I did in that school, where I was in a different school. So it'll be fun. Well, hopefully I'll be able to make some connections with some kids through it, even if they just think I'm a weird social studies guy. So yeah, but that's kind of my Force encounter. Let's go ahead and head over to the news for this week.
The people in this crowd will soon be among almost 40,000.
For those who are among the 900 with news media or promotional tickets, this sneak preview probably will be the only chance to see the Empire Strikes Back without standing in line.
Okay, so this week in the news, Mary Elizabeth Winstead spoke to Collider magazine, and as you'd expect, with anyone to do with anything Star Wars related, the conversation went towards her role in the upcoming Ahsoka season 2. And this is how the conversation went down. When asked about her role as General Hera Syndulla, she said, and I quote, I'm not sure what I can say other than I'm in this season a bit more, which is fun. I'm definitely in on the action, as you say, quite a bit more, which was great to have Hera really kind of getting some stuff done. So yeah, I'm not going to say much more than that, just because I've not been given my guidelines yet. So I'm going to leave it at that. But it was so much fun. I just finished it, and it was an absolute blast. I loved every minute of it, and I can't wait for people to see it. More Hera? Yes, please. What did we think of Hera in season 1, going off what she just mentioned now, getting in on the action? Because personally, we didn't really see her do too much, I don't think, action-wise in season 1. Jimmy, we'll start with you. What's your thoughts?
I thought that they were hesitant to use her because people didn't know who she was. I know as a Rebels fan, like the mailman, he didn't know who she was really because he hadn't watched Rebels yet. You know what I mean? And something he and I wanted to talk about sometime on the Mailman, Jedi and the Mailman, is like how that kind of changed his perspective. But I thought she was underused because I love Hera. Like she's like the mom, one of a strong female character, just a strong character. I don't even female or whatever, just a strong character. One of the best pilots in the galaxy. I hope that they get to show that off. I'm sure fanboys will cry about it if they make her as good as she is in Rebels. But I'm excited when I hear that quote. I'm pretty excited for. About you, Chuck? What do you think about how they used Hera in season 1?
I love Hera in Rebels. I love cosplaying Hera. I think she's an absolutely fantastic character, and I was really pleasantly surprised by Mary Elizabeth Winstead's portrayal in season 1 of Ahsoka. I think a lot of people maybe weren't the biggest fan. I saw like some criticism about like her leku and the makeup, and I think she did an amazing job. And I'm really, really happy to hear that as she's tiptoeing around that NDA. Never have I heard sentences constructed like that. Disney are there waiting. Um, I'm really excited to hear that they're doing more with her. I really do hope we get some like full on action and some proper like kind of like I'd love to see her in like a dogfight in space. I know we got a little
Ooh,
bit of that, but like more
yeah,
of her and Chopper, more of her and the rest of the team. Like just give me all of it. I love her so much.
absolutely.
All
Do you
Hera,
think?
please.
You guys think on this? You know how because when Ahsoka first was on screen for Mandalorian season 2, I think that was the Jedi
Yeah, it was.
episode 5 of season 2, I guess it's gonna go by chapters, but whatever. I wasn't the biggest fan, and then like the next season, next time she shows up, her everything looks better. She looks more like a Togruta. That's kind of things. You think that Charlie as a cosplayer for this, right? Like you kind of know how all that
Mhm.
stuff works. Do you think, without having seen anything, I don't think anything's been posted of her. Do you think there's room for them to improve her look, just with what you saw? Like because like you go through this when you dress up like her. When you put the cosplay on. So do you think there's room for them to improve her, and do you
There
think they
is.
will?
Yeah, like there's quite a big difference between Hera in like Rebels, the animated series, and Hera in live action. And I think they did a really good job at translating Ahsoka over, but maybe not the best job. Like Here is Leku are much longer in the animated series, whereas this one they were a lot shorter. But obviously, I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she's doing more on set. She's a person in prosthetics, not just an animated character on a screen. And I think they've had to make adjustments to the costume to make it wearable for longer and more comfortable. Because I will say, wearing a full set of silicone Leku and a whole face of face paint and contact lenses and the hat and the goggles and the rest of the costume, it is hard work. It is not my comfiest cosplay by far. I can only sort of manage maybe about 2 hours, 3 hours in it before I have to take it off.
Okay.
It is tough. So if they do make adjustments, I hope it would be subtle ones like they did with Ahsoka, like just those little kind of tweaks and changes, maybe lengthen the Leku a little bit, adjust the color, maybe tweak the eye color a little. But she deserves to be kind of her own unique kind of interpretation of the character. Like, I think seeing them bring Rebels into live action is something so special and so exciting. I'm happy to negate that kind of matchy, samey,
All right.
personally.
Yeah. Cool. No, it's a good insight.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to move us on to our next bit of news, which I'm so excited. Obviously, a huge amount came out of New York Comic Con, but one thing that I've been super focused on is the upcoming George Lucas Museum, known as the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. An interview with the Wall Street Journal was released a few days ago, and George mentioned that he owes a huge amount of his success of the franchise to his illustrators, specifically the amazing Ralph McQuarrie, as he said the following: "People can't understand what I'm talking about because they've never seen it before. That's why I had so many illustrators working for me. I relied on them to help people get the picture. With a total of 33 gallery spaces, it's set to be an absolutely mind-blowing experience with life-size pod races, and obviously in LA a year before Celebration. The main question is, when are we going? Who's buying the tickets? And let's go, I'm super excited."
It's a big one for sure. I can't believe the size of this thing. It looks
It's
amazing
huge.
from the outside. Lucas has already called it a temple to the people's art. I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's like being in the mind of George Lucas. It's built in the Exposition Park in LA, California. Something I didn't realize as well, Jimmy and Charlie, that is estimated to cost around $1 billion. And this has been funded by Lucas and Hobson.
Wow.
No
Yeah.
taxpayer dollars are required.
He still
Insane.
has
We
$3
funded
billion.
this. Like, we as a fandom, as a Star Wars community from day dot, this is like a reward for us. That's how I'm
It's
choosing to view this. This feels like
insane.
a thank you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Some of the stuff they've got planned as well. You know, you've got the whole historic archive of Lucasfilm from 71 to 2012. There's concepts, there's props, models, life-size pod racers. I've seen pictures of Grievous and the vehicle that he's in. Currently set to open 2026, so it's probably worth going before Celebration, I think, because imagine going when Celebration's it's going to be absolutely chocker.
Well, that's my plan.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll be the week of Celebration, but
yeah, exactly.
you know,
But again, I just love the fact that George Lucas has said that, you know, this is for the people. This is nothing to do with anything else. It's just, this is a proper insight into George Lucas's mind, and just that alone is absolutely astounding for me.
it's gonna be cool, man. Like I feel like he's uh kind of giving back because you think about where he started and how he didn't want to be this big conglomerate. I mean, he fought big business, and then, as they say, you become that which you fear. And he became big business. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't help it to get the movies and stuff he won with ILM and all these different things. Like, and I feel like this is probably his way of kind of going back to his roots.
Yeah,
the things that he loves about film and being a young kid and at film school and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited for this. It's gonna be pretty neat. So, all right. Here we got some positive news about Star Wars films, starting with Starfighter. Mia Goth has mentioned how good the script is and how much she has been pushed. And again, mentioning the fact that it's a separate film. It's not a prequel. It has new characters. Is this the fresh lease of life Star Wars needed? Because there's been a lot of rumors about this. So we'll stop here real quick because there's been a lot of rumors. Like, we've gotten this information. It's a standalone film, blah, blah, blah. But then all of a sudden we're talking a big cameo and act 3 most likely. What do you guys think though? Is this what we need? Should this come
Go
out
on, Charlie.
before Mando and Grogu? I mean, not that it's going to, but should it have? Should it have been like what came out?
I think it's definitely needed because it needs to again prove to people that Star Wars isn't just about the Skywalker saga. So in that
Mhm.
respect, I think definitely. Super excited with what people are saying. Obviously, they're going to spin positive things about it. Obviously, but just some of the things that are coming out, little tidbits. I'm excited already, and we've not really seen that much about it. What's your thoughts,
I
Charlie?
I think it is a testament to Disney's marketing that the way they have released kind of cast list and then a picture and then another cast member and then an interview and then an interview with another one of the cast members. We're being drip fed just enough to keep us absolutely ravenous. And I'm really enjoying seeing that kind of discussion cycle start up again of people kind of talking about rumors and, well, I've heard this and I've seen this and inside sources say this. Like, that's a really exciting place to be in. And I think even with the Mando and Grogu, people have been like, it's it is what it is. This feels kind of new and exciting. And I like the fact that these actors are pushing that it's a separate story, a separate narrative, something kind of completely new and completely different. So I'm all for it, honestly.
Yeah. Do you think that's because like we know Mando and Grogu, like this is all brand like you
Mm.
love something that you don't know, like because it has all this potential to be amazing and stuff like that. And, no, for the most part, people love Mandalorian and Grogu, but it does seem weird to me that people. I think you might be right. People seem like they're more hyped for Starfighter. And then there was another thing you talked about all these little tidbits that we're getting about Starfighter. There was
Hmm.
something I don't know if it was the director or not, but someone says like talking about Mia Goth specifically is like, you don't say I need a character like Mia Goth because there is no one else like her, what
Yeah,
she can
Yeah.
bring, what she's bringing to this role. So I kind of hope that wouldn't it be cool if she's like the new bad guy. Like, I mean, if she's really this good, her and Matt Smith together, like those are two like be a powerhouse, not
Matt Smith's
couple, but
incredible.
bad
Exactly.
guys, like powerhouse couple bad guys that you have these two strong personalities, and I think there's a lot of potential for that. So, all right, next up, speaking of Mando and Grogu, Sigourney Weaver has come out and said she was only on set for a few days, and while she was there, she was surrounded by lots of different creatures. Did that concern anybody? Like, we're not getting a lot of Sigourney Weaver in this. That she's going to be. I mean, if she's just like a contact person, then
Mm.
almost kind of like
Yeah.
Grief Karga was in the first season, where he had, you could have filmed all of his scenes in like, a couple
You know what
days.
concerns me about this, right? Is this another Jack Black character?
Yeah, it makes me think like about like Carrie Ann Moss and the Acolyte, like, oh my God, Trinity in Star Wars killed her
Yeah,
in the first episode. This is Sigourney Weaver, like the queen of sci-fi, like the icon of sci-fi films. And if
yeah.
we're only getting her for a couple of episodes, is this just like another little nostalgia? I don't like it when Disney pushes my nostalgia buttons. Go away.
Do you guys think it's a different? We talked about Carrie Ann Moss and stuff like that. Do you think this is different because it is a movie and it'll be less time? So like, maybe
I feel like they're setting up to pack a lot into this film and for it to do a lot of storytelling in what I can imagine is not going to be a terribly long amount of time. I'm both deeply fascinated and quite concerned about what path this movie is going to be taking in terms of the Star Wars timeline. And I'm sure I'm not the only fan that's feeling that way.
yeah.
That's a really good point, actually. Do we actually know what the runtime is going to be for the film?
They don't, I mean, they're filming it right now, so I don't think they know until they start making, they go into editing. So we won't
Mm.
find that out for,
No, I've seen
I mean,
estimates of like 2 hours, but nothing's confirmed, is
we're
it?
probably, I mean, I don't know how they could confirm it given the fact that they're still filming it. Like, you know what I mean? Like they film a bunch of stuff and then they had to take it into the editing floor and they have to cut it up and
Yeah.
see what makes it and what doesn't make it. And, then reshoots and all that kind of stuff. So, um, we'll see. I hope it's a long one. I hope it's a 2.5 hour blockbuster film that keeps me at the edge of my seat. But I don't want to go in for an hour and a half film. Like I don't want that.
No, but
So
what I will say on that, Jimmy, it's a good point. It was amazing when we watched the Mando on the big screen at Celebration London.
well, I didn't get to do that, so I don't know.
You were sitting next to me, weren't you?
No, I was not.
It was next to me.
It was the other handsome bearded guy, apparently.
Potentially Johnny O. Okay, last bit of news is about the legendary illustrator and artist Drew Struzan. Unfortunately, he's become one with the Force and leaves behind a monster of a legacy. He was renowned for his incredible art, which he produced amazing movie posters, not just for Star Wars, but other smash hits like Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, E.T., just to name a few. Juice Drews and produced over 150 movie posters, and everybody here at Explore the Force sends their deepest condolences to his friends and family.
It's just a simple jump to hyperspace and we're there? What's so tricky about that?
Plenty. Can't plot a direct course to Kessel. You might wanna buckle up, baby.
All right, folks, and welcome to the main show. And we have a doozy today, and I think that half the people are going to love it. Half the people are going to probably turn us off once they realize what we're talking about. But I said it, I think, in Force Encounters or whatever, and we talked about it a little bit last week. Is Rey the way forward? Or, as I so lovingly call it, this is the Rey? The Ray forward, you pick the pun that you want as we dive into this, okay? And what we're really going to kind of focus on, folks, today is we have 3 things that have come out recently, and I've talked about it a little bit. Like I said, we had Jaws of Jakku that just released. We just got the news, Madeline Rook's legacy book that they're pairing her with Princess Leia. So that's going to happen. That's going to take between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
Jaws of Jakku took place between, actually, it took place at the same time because with some things that I don't want to give too much away. I know people haven't finished that quite yet. So, and then, of course, we have all these big rumors about Starfighter. And, you know, if the boy Flynn Gray is actually the Jedi, if he's not Jedi, but Force sensitive, and if Ryan Gosling's character is taking him somewhere, the logical place to take him 5 years after the Rise of Skywalker would be Rey's Jedi Academy or whoever's running it for at the time or whatever. So we're going to kind of talk about, we've got a couple questions for you guys about this. We can talk about these 3 things independently of one another and what they mean. Plus, we know there's still a movie out there with her, with Charmin set to direct, right? Direct, I believe. Simon Kinberg has a trilogy that they've talked about being the next actual trilogy. So I guess first off, what do you guys think about all this Rey news right off the bat? Like, I mean, it seems like it's a lot right off, kind of thrown at us pretty quickly. What do you think? I mean, do you think this is a possibility, or are we just kind of like, are we pulling at, straws here, trying to make something out of this?
Jack, you go, because I'll be chewing on this one for a little bit, so you go first.
I think I'm interested to see what happens in the next couple of weeks to see if more comes out about this rumor. Because obviously we just had the news where Mia Goth was saying there's new characters and all this, and it's proper away from Star Wars, like a separate film, like how Solo was, how Rogue One was. I think Rey is going to be, Rey is the future of Star Wars, regardless whether people want that to happen or not. Rumors that she's getting paid up to like $13 million for the next upcoming film. But my take on this at the minute is people are probably clutching at straws. I can't see Rey appearing in Starfighter, if I'm honest.
So I think absolutely an interesting kind of position to take. Obviously, as Star Wars fans, I know I've said this before on the show, we are very, very prone to kind of look between the lines and try and sort of grasp at as many straws as possible. But I do think it's important to remember that the biggest amount of kind of Rey's canon and her story was actually fleshed out in the material that came outside of the films, like the novelizations for The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. There's actually quite a lot in some of the kids' books, in some of the in-canon books that came out during that time, like The Jedi Path, and there's a couple, I think there's her diary is something else that's available to buy as well. And so much of her story and her journey and her growth came through that kind of out of the film material. And I'm actually really excited. Like, I wasn't expecting Jaws of Jakku. That was a really, really nice surprise. Even if, as Jimmy said, it maybe leans a little more towards the YA, but also kind of Rey was designed for younger audiences and younger Star Wars fans. So it feels like that tracks. I'm really, really excited about this book specifically. The blurb says, after barely escaping the First Order on Crate, Rey and the Resistance are struggling to rebuild. Her friends need the Last Jedi more than ever. Oh my god. But Rey feels alone and overwhelmed. Jedi tradition is built on masters and apprentices, and Rey's teacher is gone. Leia Organa tries her best to train Rey in the ways of the Force as Luke did so many years ago, but Leia's knowledge is limited. Rey's lightsaber is broken, and the specter of Kylo Ren and regrets from the past haunt them both. How can Leia pass the torch when she is herself unsure of the way? Absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait to sink my teeth into this. I know we are short of material in terms of the film, the Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy film. There's been no trailers, there's been no teasers, there's been no there's been nothing for how long has it been now? 3 years since Star Wars Celebration?
Yeah,
Since the last announced that.
since London for about 3 years. Yeah.
It, I'll take this and I'll happily take this. I'll get to the Starfighter stuff in a minute, but I don't know. I think this is really interesting. I'm inclined to think that, like Jimmy says, I feel like they are gearing her up to be this kind of front
Yeah.
and center character.
Yeah, because I think with this book, Jack, you mentioned last week that the fandom is split on Rey for whatever the reasons are. I don't really want to dive into that stuff, right? That's not what we're really about. We
No.
like her here. I mean, some people like her more than others, right? I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think she's a fine character and she's gotten better. But you mentioned the idea that one thing that Star Wars fans all agree on is General Leia,
Yeah.
right? And I know me personally, one of the biggest and most fun things from the Rise of Skywalker was seeing Leia training with Luke. I thought that
Yeah.
was phenomenal. So we get more of that story. So you got this character that is universally loved by everybody in Star Wars, like Jack said, and you pair her with Rey, who is not maybe as loved. I mean, she's loved, like I said, it's a split fandom, but
Mhm.
it's just a smart move. And apparently too, the girl, Miss Madeline, this woman that's writing this book, actually helped Claudia Gray or whoever wrote the Leia Princess of Alderaan books, things like that, actually worked because of how much like she really understands Leia's character. And so this woman's like coming into this like with this a massive amount of like background information to write this. I was actually listening to the Force Center podcast, and they're actually good friends with Madeline, and they were talking about all of her basically all of her experience with writing Leia. So it's pretty exciting. But do you think that's a smart move? And do you think that's why this is? Because this could be, I mean, we don't need this book, but like Jack, I thought it was a great point last week when you said that. I was like, oh, that makes way more sense because now you got this beloved character. You got this character that's kind of 50-50. We can't use
Mm.
Princess Leia moving forward because she's no longer with us. We got the footage we got of her in the Rise of Skywalker was iffy. I still don't know
Yeah.
how I feel about it, but you couldn't flesh out that relationship
Nah.
between these two. You can do it in the book, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? We come off of this book and then maybe the Rise of Skywalker hits a little bit harder. But do you guys think that's probably why we're doing this? I mean,
Yeah.
the reason they're pairing them up,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. I think it's a
think
whole process of gearing it up for Rey becoming the main figurehead of Star Wars. And I've got two theories about how they'll move forward with Rey. Just going back to that, yeah, it makes perfect sense to have that beloved character Leia, shadowing, mentoring Rey. Again,
mm,
everyone's on the fence if they like Rey, if they didn't like Rey, but everybody loves Leia. I've never met a person that doesn't like Leia,
exactly.
regardless. And I think they might continue to do that with other characters. They could have done that in the film with Luke Skywalker as well, but again, that's obviously that chance has been and gone. You've got Chewbacca that's probably left. That's now her sidekick, so to speak. He's probably the only one left to sort of carry Rey, if you like, or again get people across the fence. But there's two ways. There's two theories I've got that they can proceed. I think with Rey, try to keep everyone happy. Rey is going to be the future of Star Wars, regardless, because and there's two ways to do this now. You could either have her as the head of the Jedi Order, which we know is going to happen. So she's going to be like that Yoda figure. Doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be the main character in the next upcoming films. She could take not a back step, but be in the background sort of thing, kind of like Yoda was in the Acolyte. You know, the new Jedi Order has been made by Rey. It's all because of Rey. Yada yada yada. However, now we're following someone else, but Rey's in the background, and she's going to become a better mentor and a coach, etc., than Luke Skywalker was. Or they just chuck it at people's faces and go for it and just go, you know what? Yeah, Rey is the main character. She will be the front and lead of everything Star Wars. So there's two ways that I think they could skin it.
Interesting. Really, really interesting. I loved Leia and Rey's relationship in The Rise of Skywalker, and I really do wish that, because so much of the plot of that movie was taken up with a very specific story that they were telling, it felt like we only kind of got these snapshots and these moments with Rey interacting with the legacy characters. And I know I'm not the only person who's sat and wished that there was more of that. And I'm more than happy to take this in book form. Madeline is obviously a huge, huge fan of the women of Star Wars. If people haven't seen, she's got the coolest like tattoo sleeve that's got Rey and Ahsoka and Hera and Leia on it. Like, it's so, so cool. She clearly knows what she's doing, and I'm so, so excited for this. We'll happily be adding it to my collection, and anything to just flesh out those stories. I think people who are so kind of ready to hate on the sequels need to realize that there is so much more that you can take from the other source material that's connected to the films. Even just, I would really, really recommend just reading the novelizations of The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. Like, it brings so much more to Rey as a character and really just helps kind of round her out. And I know people want to argue that that should have been done by the films, but there's opportunity for that with the new films that are coming out. And like Jack said, whether they use her as like a background advisory character, the way Yoda kind of ends up at certain points, or whether she becomes kind of the forefront of it, I think they're trying to put more of those building blocks in place to make it more about her, and so that her landing is a little softer, you know?
Yeah.
I think it'd be smart to see how people gauge these books as well. If they've got people out, well, they
Yes.
will have people out there. They need to get the feedback now from the community, I think. I need to have someone out there saying, you know what, Rey's just been taken with the community now and everyone loves her. Let's go for it. Or they say, you know what, people are still on the fence. We might need to approach this differently.
Well, there were people on like the Star Wars book subreddit. Somebody said like, it's about time. Please keep the sequel character stories coming. Somebody else said like, oh, I'm really, really hyped for this. The books and comics have like skyrocketed Leia into one of my favorite Star Wars characters, and getting more of her training with Rey is going to be a really fun and interesting time. So people want it. I think there's always space for that kind of material.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the reasons I think she is the Ray forward is that what else do they have? I mean, Star Wars doesn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, this was an article. Was it like a year and a half, 2 years ago? I think somebody wrote, and we I think we mentioned it. Maybe even talked about it a little bit. But like, as far as characters left to drive Star Wars forward, it'd be kind of weird just to start fresh, wouldn't it?
Mm.
Like, I mean, I know Starfighter's supposedly
I don't
doing that,
know.
but would you guys? Do you think that's a better way to go? Do you think if with the mixed emotions, and I wonder sometimes too, is it Ray or is it the movies? Is it Ray in the movies? Like, I don't give into all that like hate, and I don't read the
No.
people who are like super negative about stuff. I just ignore them, so I don't really know
Think,
exactly what they
yeah.
hate about it. But
I I do think that if so, obviously, I think like the pandemic and lockdown was a huge, huge part of this. I think they had so many plans to kind of move Rey's story on really, really quickly. Like, I think Rise of Skywalker was 2017. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2017, 2018. There were plans to move it on super, super fast, and obviously the pandemic kind of interrupted all of that. And now it feels like Disney Star Wars is kind of running at the end of its tether of characters. Like you say, like, where do we go from here? Who is left? Rey is kind of the only character that is left, but because of the backlash from the sequels, I can understand why there's hesitation to introduce her in, which is why I think this whole Starfighter thing is really interesting. I'm really late to the party on this. If people weren't aware, there seem to be some theories floating around that she's going to be one of the, like, I guess you can call her a legacy character now if you want, who's going to be appearing in this. some connection to the potential force sensitive child, Jedi protection, taking on that sort of Yoda role. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? I'd be surprised if she turns up. I'd be really, really surprised if we see her in this before we see her in like the trilogy or whatever else is coming up next.
I think it's a no-brainer personally because I mean, who else is there? They're just going to pull out
Yeah.
because this is the problem, right? If you just pull out a new Jedi out of thin air after
People are going to
5
be like, me, Order
yeah,
66.
I think there's
yeah.
one person that they can do that with.
Oh, Cal Kestis maybe, but we don't even. I mean, because he's old. I mean, he's prior to the.
Could you imagine now you're in the cinema, right? And Ray's there or whatever, and she's struggling or whatever, and she's like, I've got one person that can help me at the minute, and then bosh, lightsaber goes up and it's Finn.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of assume he'll be part of it, but they
I
never
know John
committed.
Boyega wants that, but
They never committed to him though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not too late,
No.
I don't think. But I could easily see them showing up, and the first person they run into is Finn, and then he takes him to the master, and it's Ray.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I just don't know if this is a standalone feature film, Starfighters. And again, folks, you have to remember this is all rumors. We don't know anything, but some of these people seem to have these ideas and whatever. Where else do you take this kid? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you've got to have an endpoint where you just can't run from the Empire, the remnants of whatever's left of the Empire. The
Yeah, what
the
are they
first
running
final
from?
order. What's that?
What are they running from?
Mia Goth and Matt Smith supposedly. But are you saying like what are they? Like are they Sith
Yeah.
lords?
Are they like Siths again, kidnapping children?
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Because we mentioned about the books things for Ray, and obviously, sorry, Jimmy, we're going on with the Finn thing as well. Don't forget, we're getting another book with Finn.
Oh yeah, we are.
So again, it's all gearing up. It's all getting everyone thinking, oh, this character is still there, still exists. And Finn in that new book, he's on some sort of mission, again rescuing children that have been kidnapped by the First Order. So that could tie in again nicely with Starfighter.
I feel like this is just Star Wars, like recycling plot points. Like I feel like we've been here before. I want something
Yeah.
different from Starfighter. I
Yeah.
feel like you can't tell me that we're having a completely different story that's completely disconnected from Star Wars and like brand new,
Yeah.
and then do lost force sensitive child needs a father figure, needs a mentor, because that's just a Mando like recycled. That's
Bad
just
Batch.
a New Hope. Bad
Yeah.
Batch. Like
The handing over the kid would be like Mandalorian Grogu to Luke.
I'd also like to point out that the person who's been pushing this like Starfighter like rumor or whatever, Josh Den of Nerds, clearly doesn't like Rey and doesn't like the character of Rey. All of his tweets and all of his information and insider information is really kind of tainted with a particular tone that I'm sure a lot of you recognize in the Star Wars community of I don't like Rey. That's fine, but I don't, as a fan who does like Rey, I don't appreciate that every single time her presence is brought up in one of these films or possibility of her presence, it's got this like hatred tone to it. Like, can we not do that? Can we maybe not? Like, it's becoming clickbaity and a bit baity, and I don't.
No, I
don't
get it.
think
It's
that's
always
necessary.
fine. It's fine to hate Star Wars and characters, except just keep it to yourself.
Yeah, like go ahead, but
Yeah.
this kind of threading it into starting discourse about Starfighter and starting like hatred for it before we've even had anything close to a teaser trailer, like wind it back in.
Well, it's like Solo all over again.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
they need they need to do something brand new though. And the only other like the sort of route that they're taking at the minute, which is probably why they're reluctant, if you like, to do the Old Republic stuff. So there's a Jedi Master there, Bastilia Shan, who's the head of the Jedi Order. I think that's the direction. I think that's the direction they're going to head in with Rey. But yeah.
I mean, if you ask me, I want her front and center of every single story. I want her there. I want her in 20 different costumes. I want her. I want to see Daisy Ridley because, like I've said before, she's done so many like different projects now over the last couple of years, having this break from Star Wars, that her range as an actor has opened up massively.
Yes.
So give her the big stories, give her the movie franchise to carry on her back because she did it with The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, so she can do it again.
I think she got better and better every movie. I didn't think
Yes.
I didn't think her acting was, like, super great in The Force Awakens, like, personally, but I felt like even though I didn't like The Last Jedi, I felt like she was better in it. I felt like she was better
Mhm.
in The Rise of Skywalker. Then you see her, she's been in other Disney films and other films like that, so she has practiced her art of acting. I think that that would be huge, and I
Yeah.
think, and I think she could do it at this point. I always talk about Ahsoka, right? If you think about,
Mhm.
um, the first time you ever see Snips, think about if the internet was like it was today when Clone Wars came out,
Oh
like,
yeah,
right?
Mhm.
We now have almost 11 hours of Ahsoka Tano on film or on television, right? Almost 11 hours of her. We have just over 2 hours with given all the different, her
yeah,
pieces in the movie. So, like, I call it the Ahsoka Tano effect because I was like, "What the hell is this character?" When Ahsoka first came on on the screen, right? Like I was like, "This is dumb. There's no need for this." And blah
We
blah
were
blah
all
blah.
Snips haters in the beginning. We were.
Yes,
She was annoying. She was
and
irritable.
now,
I
I
didn't like
mean,
her. And now,
I genuinely like.
yes, now there's some people who don't like her still for whatever
I love
reason.
her. I thought she was great.
Yes, there's a lot of blowback from her, pushback when she was first appeared
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
Clone Wars movies, and then of course the show. I mean, I still think like the show's more about her until she leaves there until the seventh season. But getting more time with Ray is either going to have that effect. It's either going to make us love her more because they're going to flesh that character out. We'll get to
yeah,
see her struggle. We need to see Ray fail. I think. Like I think that like it wouldn't be a bad thing
yes.
to see her struggling and not you know, because like Charlie, you said, if you read these novelizations, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, how many Star Wars fans really read? Because I've been places that have been chock full of some of the biggest Star Wars people, and none of them read. I couldn't have a conversation about a book with them because they hadn't read anything.
yeah,
So I love it. I love the books. I love that we're getting stuff. I like to keep continuing the stories. I think it has to be done on
mm,
television. It has to be done on the big screen. I don't think that they can rely on. I'm super excited for this Leia book, like Leia and Legacy book with Ray.
Yeah.
Like, I'm super excited for it. But how many Star Wars fans out there, like, what do you think the percentages, are going to read this book? But if we get more time with her and she shows up in Starfighter, just a little bit of Starfighter, maybe she doesn't even have to do anything. She has a
No.
barely speaks like Luke Skywalker at the end of the Force Awakens moment, where she just is like, welcome or whatever,
mm,
you know, and then it
That would
goes
be a
from
nice little
wherever.
mirror. And
Yeah,
then credits roll and
yeah, something like that. But we need more time with her. We need to see her, you know, worked out a little bit more, I think, on screen. And I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't know what else they do unless they just want to start over from scratch. Like maybe Ryan Gosling and this kid, that's where they're going to start. But I don't think that's the case because they have another trilogy they're talking about with Simon Kinberg. They have,
Mhm.
like I said, the Ray movie itself that's supposed to be coming out. Um, I don't know. I just feel like it's not a bad thing to get more time with Ray, but I think it needs to be on the big screen so that we can, because
yeah,
like if she does fail and we can watch her grow. I think people overall, if they're not just bigots and they're just not going to like somebody no matter what, but they're like, "Wow, it wasn't a good story." Well, if it is a good story, then you kind of have to like. I mean, it worked with Ahsoka, right? I mean, 11
Yeah.
hours of screen time later, I went. I'm one of the biggest Ahsoka fans, so I don't know.
So I got two questions, right? And sort of going back
Mm.
to a couple of minutes ago, we were speaking about it. So which Ray is your favorite Ray? So for me, mine was Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, hands down. That's my naive, curious, inquisitive, unsure, but so deeply powerful and so deeply aware of
Mm,
something that's bigger than she is. Like she is potential. She exists as potential within Star Wars. And I think as her role gets more defined in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, give me more, I missed some of that kind of uncertainty that we saw. And I know they tried to kind of explore that in The Last Jedi, but it didn't quite hit the same as it did in The Force Awakens. There was something more hero's journey about her in The Force Awakens than there was in The Last Jedi. And this book specifically, this legacy story, Madeline said in a quote, she said, like, you pick up with Rey at a moment of doubt and weakness and confusion. That's the Rey that I want. That's the character integrity that I want to see. I don't want to see this great Jedi master who just appears, solves the problem, and leaves. Like that's not the Jedi way.
Jimmy?
It gave me more of that complexity of her, which I think we saw in The Force Awakens. Sorry, you know what I'm like.
Oh, you're fine. I get it. I love the passion. Well, Jaws of Jakku, like it's more about this character Lisa, right? She's kind of narrating and telling the story if you listen to the Audible book.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like I don't usually like anyone other than Mark Thompson doing it, but the woman, what's her name? The lady she's the one who does the voice for Ray during
is it Helen?
But
yeah.
anyway,
Helen Sadler.
yeah,
That's it.
Helen does a great job. Sometimes Lisa
She
and
does.
Ray sound a little too close to one another, but she's not confident in this. Like she goes back to Jakku because she's trying to find herself, and then this is like, and then the way it ends kind of is like the beginning of the rise of Skywalker. So, but yeah, I think as far as which one I like the most, I think you guys are right though. Like the Force Awakens, there was all this potential of like what is coming next, and like she doesn't know anything. I
Yeah.
still don't think she knew anything in the other movies. Like she still like struggling because like Kylo's screwing with her, through the Last Jedi, and then he's like taunting her there, and then taunting her even harder in the Rise of Skywalker. She still seems super lost there. And then she's not going to have a Jedi Master. Like she's not going to have Leia anymore. So I think the potential to kind of like revert her back to that, the way we saw her in the Rise and the Force Awakens. But I would have to say I kind of agree with Charlie. The Force Awakens, because there's all this potential, and I don't think it's Ray. I don't think it's Daisy Ridley. I think it's the fact that you had all these different directors taking this character in all these different directions. Like it's not fair to the character because they just tossed her all over the place.
Perfect
1 week
segue.
she's this, 1 week she's that. It's like, come on, like.
Perfect segue. So the next question was literally that, Jimmy. You pretty much just answered it. But what do you think then it was that people didn't like about Ray? Literally, for you, Jimmy, you reckon that?
Well, I mean, at first you get her, she's a girl, she's a nobody, right? She's a nobody. Like, you're a nobody. And people bought into it. Like, I wanted her to be a Kenobi for some reason. I wanted her to be like the love child or some descendancy of like Kenobi. I thought it'd be cool. But I got behind the fact that like this takes, because if you look at like the prequels, like none of those other Jedi have kids that are like this lineage family of Jedi, like, this member, because, technically Jedi shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff, right? Like this was a rare case that the Skywalkers having kids, and all this stuff. So, you kind of buy into that as a fan, like, all right, she's a nobody, cool. What's her backstory, And then of course they double on you and they like, oh no, she's a Palpatine. Spoiler alert. But I just think getting yanked one way and then yanked the other way just because the directors didn't see eye to eye and didn't have a plan and didn't think about stuff. I think that's unfair to her. That's my take.
Charlie?
Jimmy, I genuinely, I think I would have to agree with you. I don't think it's necessarily, it was not particularly an issue with Ray herself or the fact that it was a female lead. It definitely was for some fans, but we won't go into that. It was this constantly being pulled in all of these different directions of who is she, what is she, where is she from. I would have been happy if she'd have stayed as nobody, if she'd have stayed as this enigma, this kind of little miracle that appeared the same way Anakin appears as like you don't really know how he ends up there, but he's there. We know that works. We've had that in Star Wars before, but I think this kind of toing and froing, and yeah, I'll sit and defend that she's a Palpatine and she's a Skywalker and this and this, but also in the same breath, I think there's a part of me that almost grieves that she wasn't just this nobody. She didn't maintain to be the mirror of us as people who are watching her, like we're all kind of nobody from nowhere in the world of Star Wars. She was kind of meant to be that anchor for that.
That's a good point.
And and that sort of got taken away because she got wrapped up so tightly in all of the legacy characters in an attempt to keep that legacy going and honor what George started and what Disney intended to finish, but none of it got finished in quite the right way. So all of it feels kind of a mishmash. And I think filling in these gaps now between The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker moving forward into Starfighter, into Mando, whatever, it's necessary, but please leave some breathing room for what's coming next. Like there needs to be something of the unknown. I think it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
The common theme here, because again, I've got your opinion, Jimmy, your opinion, Charlie. Mine is the same, pretty much. That I think a lot of people didn't like the fact that she was a Palpatine. I think that's I think that was the switch for a lot of people, in my opinion.
I think she would have been better off being like Luke's kid or something that he didn't. You know what I mean? Like people would have liked that more than bringing, because that gets wrapped up in the fact that people think, for the Rise of Skywalker, that it was just poor writing not to be able to go out and create a new bad guy. Like you had to bring back Palpatine, then you had to tie them to it. Now, Shadow of the Sith spreads a little bit of light on it, right? Because it talks about but you shouldn't have to do that with outside. You should be able to add to a story, but you shouldn't have to use a book or an animated series that runs for 7 years to fix stuff, right? I mean, you think about like how much the prequels were not liked, and then people are like, "Wow, the clone." And I love the Clone Wars. I didn't like the prequels. I think the Clone Wars did a fantastic job of fixing the prequels because they really gave you that time. But there's that word again, time with those characters. We've had 2 hours with Rey, 2. Like that's it. Like there's no time for her to fail. We got how much time with Luke Skywalker just in The Empire Strikes Back when he's with Yoda. Do you know what I mean? Like, we never really get that, because everybody, the time we get with her training, everyone's pissed the whole time because Luke Skywalker is no longer their hero. So every time she's with a character and she has her moment, she's wrapped in something that is like super controversial, and everyone's so angry about it that she becomes the target of it. In my opinion, you know what I mean? Like every time, like we never get to see any of this stuff. I don't know, and it's kind of frustrating. And then they just, I don't know. It just seems like she needs a chance to stand on her own as a character, not surrounded by Palpatines or Luke Skywalker or Princess Leia or any of them. So she needs that opportunity. Now, Disney and Lucasfilm have to deliver. They have to have a kick-ass story. They have to have a great bad guy, a great villain, whatever. They had to have a cool story going on. Rey struggling with something, and they need to crush it. And I think that one movie can change the narrative and people will forget about that stuff moving forward. And then now you have your newest and most important legacy character standing on, maybe 75% of the fandom loves her or like appreciates her.
Yeah. Controversial episode, I think. It's been a really good discussion, this. And like I said, there's a few key points to take away, a few questions, I think, for the listeners to let us know your views and opinions. Where did Rey go wrong for you, or what do you think was the switch for Rey, and which Rey was your favorite in all the movies? I think they're the two takeaways for this. Go on, Jimmy.
And if not Rey, then who?
Rey.
Yeah.
If not Rey, then who? Like we get
Exactly.
I just don't know how you do it. I mean, I know you can do it. It wouldn't make any sense because like you start 5 years down the road and Rey's not involved with it. That seems like whatever, but yeah.
Cool. And another big point as well. I think you got an extremely valid point here, Jimmy. We've only had 2 hours of Rey. Literally everyone did the same thing. Yeah.
I mean, 2 hours
Great
is not
point.
that much.
It's not. Right.
Considering the 11 hours of Ahsoka, the 13, I think, of Anakin, like
perfect. And how many of Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan's 9 hours. Anakin Skywalker is the most with 11:34. Ahsoka with 10:54. Ezra Bridger has 9 hours and 16 minutes.
There you go then.
Ezra Bridger has more than Rey Skywalker, so just
there we go.
Think about
Proofs
that.
in the pudding. Proofs in the pudding. Right. Any final points before we wrap up? Anything from you, Jimmy?
open mind. If it happens, just go in with an open mind. Because what's the point of hating it?
Yeah.
Just give it a chance. Give Disney a chance. And then if they mess this up, then yeah, you have a right as a fan to be angry. But I think that everyone just needs to take a deep breath, give her an opportunity, and I think we'll be all right.
Charlie, any final points coming from you? No? Happy? She's more than happy. That's why she's still muted. Any final points from you, Chuck? Go on.
No, lest I continue talking for hours and hours and hours and all well into the sweet early hours of the morning. I do not have any more final points, but I really, genuinely, really enjoyed that discussion. That was 10
It was
out
a
of 10.
good one. Yeah, it was good. As I mentioned, please let us know your thoughts and views. Charlie, sorry, go on.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say I love talking about Ray with the two of you. Like, genuinely, it makes me really happy.
Awesome. Right, and finally, I think I'm on the same boat as Jimmy. Don't think, feel. See what happens. Right, if you have any questions or you just want your voice heard, then DM us on our social media pages or send us an email or voice note at exploretheforce@gmail.com. And remember to like this episode, share it with your Star Wars friends and family, and to follow us on all our social media platforms. All you have to do is search Explore the Force, all one word. And if you're watching YouTube, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Also, if you want to show your support and spread the word around by image as well as voice, then head on over to Redbubble and search Explore the Force, where you can purchase unique merchandise. And a massive thank you to everyone interacting with us via our social media. You keep this podcast amazing. We are nearly at 10K.
Yes. Finally, you've been listening or watching Explore the Force. We have spoken. We'll see you next week.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
Close your eyes. Feel it.
Wise as Master Yoda, as powerful as Master Windu.
They'll do their job well. I'll guarantee that.
I am going to end this once and for all.
Sure.
You were the chosen one!